I've worked in numerous organizations that I had to stand at a time clock. I had to sit at my computer and wait for that time to turn over to the top of the hour before I could punch in. If I did anything prior to that, HR deleted it and changed it, you know? I don't want to get into the habit of that. Without a correction sheet, I should not be adjusting time, you know? So it's gotta get cleaned up, I agree, you know? With the office staff, though, going back to that question, it's not exorbitant amounts of overtime, but it is some overtime. It has been.
Yeah.
You know, our nursing and our maintenance, on the other hand, is different.
Yeah.
They're on call. You know, like Mark came in on the holiday. I was there with him, and he comes in on weekends when he gets called in. You know, so we might even want to look at, for Mark, going to an hourly, so just straight hourly and not salaried and then watching that. So he gets every hour he works paid. Chris, our nurse, Amanda's of course exempt as the director of nursing, but Chris, our LPN, another one, every other week she's on call Tuesday through the weekend, you know, similar to Josh's deputies, which works out to be 100, how many hours is that? I mean, she's on call
52 hours a week.
52 hours a week, and you know they do it every other week. It's a lot of on-call time for Chris and Amanda. Amanda, of course, does not reap the benefits when she gets called in. I have a great concern right now that both of my nurses are on the verge of burning out and walking away. You know, because it's a huge demand on them. They do not feel comfortable leaving the immediate area when they're on call. I mean, they are bound and tied to this position, which I never wanted that to be the feeling that came with this. So, been working with Amanda, trying to brainstorm ideas about how do we break that mold. Some of it is on our officer staff to take some more initiative, because we do have well-trained officer staff to deal with medical emergencies. But there's also a sense of comfort knowing that we have good nursing staff and nursing staff that's available. So it's a real catch-22 there.
Well, you got 2 nurses there, right?
2 nurses.
So I mean, just say one was on call, but the one that was on call wanted to go someplace. Couldn't they work it out so she could cover for that one at one time?
They have made those adjustments in the past when events came up, you know.
So then they could actually go, they could do.
Well, then what happens is, of course, then they'll just switch weeks or weekends.
Right,
so it doesn't ever, you know, it always will end up being the same on-call time. But yeah, they work on that together.
Do they have to come in quite a bit out when they're on call?
No, more than I probably know of, to be honest. You know, so.
Well, when they come in, they punch in then?
Well, Chris does. You know, Amanda, it's exempt, so she just comes in, and it's just like Darren and myself.
But you know that they come in?
Yep.
You do know that.
You know, I'm asking a lot more now. You know? I mean, even with Mark, you know, and I've talked to Mark, you know, he's received a lot of calls since he joined the organization. You know, and when we talked a month ago or 2 months ago about, you know, moving, you know, increasing his salary and taking him off probation, a large drive is because in the, you know, the 4 months at that time that he's been here, he has responded to everything that's been asked of him, and he's came in on holidays, on weekends, you know. And unfortunately, when we were interviewing for that position and talking with Mark, based on experience, you know, when we were without a maintenance man, so in between Ron and TJ and Mark, when Darren and I were filling the gaps, you know, there were not a lot of calls. So when Mark would ask, or other interviewees would ask, well, I mean, there are some, but it's not frequent. Well, it's that idea of now that we have that staff person, there's a huge reliance, sometimes an over-reliance to call them by our staff, especially at night and weekends. Once again, though, there's a comfort that comes with that, but there's also the drawback that Mark and the nurses out there, it gets to be a lot sometimes. You know, it does. You know, Mark was there on Saturday night for 3 hours from 11 to 2 on over Saturday night because we had a contractor on site doing some stuff with our video surveillance equipment that he wanted to be there and see, you know. You know, it's things that he, you know, wants to see and learn about, and it's the best way to learn is, you know, have the expert on site and shadow him, you know. So, yeah, it's, I don't know what the answer is on the nursing side, you know. It's the fact that we have on-site, on-staff nursing is pretty great, considering a lot of facilities in the state of North Dakota, they contract with a public health nurse that might come in 2, maybe 3 days a week to provide call. We have them 24/7, and, you know, they were gone, they both went to a seminar last week on Wednesday, Thursday. And like I thought, you know, our staff stepped up and they did it, knowing that they weren't available. So sometimes it's like removing that and just having our staff prove it to themselves that they can operate, you know, and make decisions and make the call without them, you know. So it's sometimes nice to remind them that, you know, it's a huge asset to have, but it's pretty, we could lose it pretty quickly, you know.
So some do have, where the nurses don't come in daily or?
County jails in the state?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably more that do that model than actually have an employed nurse or two. With some of the new construction, the last time I was down in Bismarck at an administrators association meeting, that was the conversation. The people that were building new, Burley Morton, you know, they were asking who has nursing on staff. I think it's going to be, if the facility, the county can afford it, I think that's the preferred method, because it really reduces liability. Having a nurse that can respond to a medical emergency, you know, really reduces liability.
Some of them use a public health nurse.
Cass County, for example, they contract with Cass County Public Health. So the nurses that come in from them, it's not a consistent nurse all the time. They come from the public health department to provide a sick call.
But they're not there, are they there 12 hours?
They're not there 8 hours a day,
8 hours.
5 days a week, no.
That's Cass County?
They're public health nurse. I don't know what their schedule is, what their contract is, but it's not their, you know, it's not the jail's nurse, you know.
Can your CO give out meds?
If you have the certification, which would be CMT2 is the title. So when you go through CO Basic, everybody gets CMT1, and that's general, you know, basic care. And then our nursing staff, Amanda, trains everybody on medication dispensing, MAR, understanding what the MAR is. So we have, and that's the thing, we have a number of staff on each team that have certifications that can do some of this, you know. Now, if we pull back on our reliance of calling nurses after hours or on weekends, what you'll see, the inverse of that is what you'll see is more trips to the emergency room, you know. So there is, like I said, it's.
So is that what happens at Cass County? If they don't have them there, they go to the emergency room?
That's what happens at most any facility. Botno, for example, I mean, they wanted to bring somebody down to us last week that they brought to the emergency room 3 straight days, you know. But no, we don't want that. So there's always a catch there, and it's just kind of identifying what is the best practice. So.
Hey Mike, we got a fire hydrant leaking in the corner.
Yes, we do, yeah.
If we had to turn the water off, when would be the best time?
2 in the morning? No,
Because eventually would be off too.
okay, yeah. Yeah, honestly, and that's every city is going to repair it, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean,
How long?
obviously, overnight is the best time, but
You mean like after supper?
probably after lockdown, which is 10 p.m. And then even then, you know,
Then you get
but
over.
how long, what do you think the downtime would be?
Probably a few hours.
Few hours, yeah. Yeah, everything, you know, probably would run into mealtime, which I think shut down our laundry services, that's easy enough, but.
So the best thing is like early morning or?
Probably early morning.
Early morning.
We all tend to sleep in, so.
The only thing we would have to adjust is hospital laundry that day, and we can work around that. Because morning meal is, of course, you know, cold, dry cereal. And they start prepping for lunch 9:30, 10 o'clock, so.
What they said that some of the guys like to sleep in, huh? You can sleep in all as long as you want.
It's here in jail, that's the only thing to do. Most people watch TV.
About 85% of our inmate population don't wake up until about 11:30 or noon when lunch is served. And then they go back to sleep after
What are
lunch.
you doing then?
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sleep your time away? If, you know, that's probably the best way for someone to get through their time, but.
So if we could do it from 7 to 11, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick a date, let us know, and we'll have to adjust our lunch to something.
I mean, they could get some water out before, you know.
So that's personnel wise, I mean, it's not perfect by any means, so.
I guess the only thing I question is the office staff, you know, really, I mean, if it's a time clock issue, that can be remedied pretty easy, I think. But the rest, I guess it has to be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the officer side, and, you know, the people on call, I mean, that's just their reality. So.
Well, see, when you know, that 15 minutes or whatever, that adds up after, when you start adding up with that many people.
28 days or 30, 31 days, yeah, it does add up. You know, it's a couple of hours, which per month don't seem like much, but over a calendar year, it's.
Yeah, and, you know, and to the person that probably doesn't have that many hours either, they don't go, he thinks it's no big deal, but start adding it all together.
And they all have access to review their time clock online, so they can watch their lunches, they can calculate their hours. So if they come in on a Friday and they're already sitting at 34 hours, they know 6 hours and then they're out, you know. There's the other part of that though. I don't want this to turn out to be where everybody's working half a day on Friday, because they're banking hours early in the week, and then they're taking their Friday afternoons off, and also there's no office staff there.
Yeah, right.
So,
That's why we're not making hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our main reason why we don't, because we're gonna take time off, and all of a sudden, poof, we're all taking time off.
I don't mind, you know, if it's like an hour, you know, a half, you know, whatever it is, but yeah, if they're making 4 or 5 hours coming into Friday, and it's a ghost town there Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, traditionally, something's gonna happen at 4 o'clock, 4:30, you know? Someone's gonna call, somebody's gonna send in a fax of a judgment, and we don't have staff there to address it, so. So, yeah, I don't know, this has been something that I don't have an answer for today.
But I mean, it's something that can be done. I think you can.
Well, we could go back to the handwritten timesheets and then just rubber stamp their time on there. 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, but, you know, I mean, I think there was just an article in the Association of Counties newsletter that came out talking about the value of time clocks, though, and doing it correctly and accounting for hours worked and minutes worked, and, you know, but there's a drawback of it right there. You know, even dispatch, you know, when they went away from the time clock, ultimately the time clock benefited dispatch workers, you know, their hours were higher than by just writing it down on paper. Because I'm sure they just stamp it, you know, 12 hours, you know, on the dot every day, 12 hours, you know, and for some, they're coming in early, for others, they might show up a little bit later and they're still counting 12 hours, so. Second week of September, we had the marshal service, Jay Ferguson, out of Bismarck. He was on site for his annual review for his marshal contract. Pretty informal, pretty straightforward, no issues there. And I got a call earlier in the month, and I referred him to you, Dwayne, on that natural gas meeting.
Yeah, he told me,
Okay, I don't plan to attend, so are you gonna attend?
29th, I think it is. October 29th, he told me.
I got an agenda here, October 15th, out at Dakota Farms.
Well, he just called me yesterday.
Okay, so,
Yeah, he called me one other day.
yeah,
And I said I wouldn't be here on the 15th, but I'll.
Okay. So,
Then he called yesterday and he said 29th.
oh, okay, so they changed it, so
I got an email on
I'm guessing as long as, if someone's interested in representing us out there, or the county, I don't know. I mean, I guess our building would probably be the only one that would maybe consider making that adjustment, but.
the elevator.
Yeah, well, I think probably manufacturing would jump on it and something too, but, I don't know, so. that is
Oh,
what-
I see.
So someone's representing us if we want to be considered in that, but, I need a signature by Dwayne on this. What this is, that's just a amendment to our food contracts, or our CDM contract. It's just about, snacks, just the cost of a snack. So snacks would be served to like a pregnant female, they would be put on a snack plan, so every day they get a snack to help,
Diabetics, yeah.
sometimes the diabetics. The only other contract kind of in the works is Ward County's boarding contract is up at the end of the month. I sent them a new contract last week. They're reviewing it, they'll probably talk about it at their commission meeting this month. It's going up to where everybody, all these outers are at 70, and it's actually, I put together just a 2-year contract with them, so it's a 4% increase the next year, so. Start looking at doing some of that. And then I think they may be closer to having their larger facility, but.
When? Sometime next
3
16?
years, 2-3 years, maybe.
They have on
Oh.
ground yet.
You know what?
Still think we're looking at minimum of 3 years before we start seeing a huge increase in bed space.
They're
Which-
planning on making visitors to South Dakota. You're aware of that, right?
No, they didn't tell me that. I think they just always complain about how much they pay.
Yeah, well, that too.
But if they want to drive all the way to South Dakota,
Yeah,
that's-
that'll eat it up pretty
yeah,
fast.
So, that's all I have, Joe. Any questions?
Well, thank you.
I think we're positioning ourselves out there for the long term, though, with the DOCR panels, and marshals are still happy with us. Good. Yeah, so.
Who's there?
I had to do a dental run this morning, so he's.
He's usually here.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Take care, gentlemen. Yeah.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minute sale price as outlined by tax collector and the sale for 17.
Did we get a copy of that?
I'll move.
Yeah, we had one on. Motion by Dave to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Mike. Chris. Any other discussion? Questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Both same time?
So it'll be 5 parcels, 2 in Silva lots, or in Elmore Township, 1 in the city of Alton, and that irregular track, but I'm sure Wayne Thompson will be picking that up. He asked how long he had before I'd sell it, so he'll come in the day before or an hour before. That's how he operates.
What's wrong with coming right now? Then we have a motion to approve the preliminary budget.
That's not till 10 o'clock. Okay, in your packet you had an email that was sent to me from the city of Rugby. Jim Hubbard asked to send the bill for the
I'm gonna
river
convert
on
this stuff. Okay.
street project.
Put it off just for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm
I didn't want to listen, Karen.
I
No, just
hope you
kidding.
enjoy them.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Justin.
Good morning.
Morning.
Get warm up.
How do things go? Okay.
Think this is anything that Wold Engineering would be willing to participate in?
What's that?
That drainage issue by the elevator, north of the elevator? When you guys did First Street? They lowered that intersection and the water went drain on.
The city had Knife River too.
Yeah.
So
Well, we did, the city took out 200 feet of pavement down the street, and then we lowered the center to the water cut in the center of the street, and then go down.
I can pass it along. I guess I wasn't involved in that project when it was going on.
Yeah, I don't remember who was the on-site engineer.
It was
Well,
Matt
I
from the
know,
city.
uh,
stuff.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt did the city stuff.
Mhm.
See, they did take out a portion of that street, but they didn't go far enough.
Yeah, I don't remember there was some discussion there, and I don't.
And then they raised the curb
Let's see
on the
what
side a
it is.
little bit, you know, a foot taller.
So the city did this, and they're looking to the county to help cover some of the costs.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. This is the first I heard of this.
Mhm.
I can, you want to forward it on to me, I guess, and
Okay, I'll tell.
we can at least, I know there was something that happened there, and as far as trying to take care of that at the time, so I don't want to speak to that at this point. Not
Yeah, I know they took
logistics, but
So much of it, and then they didn't go far enough for it. And then the way it was when we shot the elevation, which the curb didn't change. The west curb was 10 inches higher than the east curb. And the middle was actually higher than, 10 inches higher than the east curb. All the way.
so the city is looking for participation from Wold as well, is what I'm saying.
I told Steve that whole problem, you know.
Yes. Morning,
How you doing?
good.
I guess I don't know who the blame is for the intersection being lowered, the water went drain, but.
Hey Karen, you starting to say something?
That would be nice if somebody brought some trees, you know?
Should I go? Do you guys have a couple minutes? Do you have a bakery I can go get you some?
I think we're all right.
Oh. No, but I need to bring some though. I know. I don't ever think of it. I apologize. I will next time. I'm putting it in my phone.
Yeah, you better put that in your phone.
I will.
Okay, we have a letter or response from Elizabeth Heisey, city auditor, where Jim Hubbard is asking for him to send the bill on behalf and see if the county would be interested in paying part of the portion to the Knife River for the street project where there was a drainage problem on First Street.
Okay, you can find it, I'll put it over.
Add in there.
Whatever, see it. You got it? I can't find it.
This is,
Yeah, oh, there it is. Yeah, I read it, you know, and, I don't know if that's the county's response, what part of that would be the county's responsibility.
When they did First Street, they lowered the intersection, ran the water with the drain on properly.
And why didn't somebody put a traffic on there, take a look at it at that time, I wonder? I mean,
you mean the engineers?
the engineers,
Yeah. When that street came there, was that street done at the same time? or was-
Yes, that was part of the project that you guys did through town. When you did the bypass roads.
right, yeah, that's,
You know, I remember doing that street, and, you weren't there, right?
I wasn't.
That would have
Do
been.
you remember any of it, David, or were you? Okay, you know, wasn't it said that we would pay for the middle and they paid for the outside? Right? That, I remember that, how
Yeah.
it went.
It was 80-20.
We
County
took
used their.
700 and some thousand of it, and that, I mean, it was, what kind of money, from the
From DOT.
From DOT.
yeah. I mean, it's something that we could have used any place in the
We
county.
put some of our road projects on hold for this.
Yeah.
The homeowner in town paid for 10%, and the city paid for 10%
That could be, I know.
of the 80-20.
well, what do you mean the city paid
The
10%?
city paid for the 10% of the 20%, and the homeowner paid for 10%.
Are they added to the taxes? Is it, I mean,
No, it was the cost at the time.
The
or
cost
was it
of,
special or something?
I suppose,
Special assessment.
Special assessment.
special assessment.
And every homeowner in the whole city paid?
No, in that first.
Oh, this is that, no, oh, yeah, okay, that's right, I
Remember, there was a few guys,
Yeah, those guys are bad, yeah. Yeah.
because Dwayne was on the, I was on the elevator board at the time, and there was talks about it, you know, different things, a few of the guys come to us and stuff.
What is the elevator said about it? They-
I have no idea.
They pay some, then they show guilt, right?
Well, didn't Jim Alford say that he already talked to Tim?
What
And it sounds like they weren't doing nothing.
They want to put in and say, yeah, we're guilty, and then all of a sudden something else comes down the road.
Well, they're guilty of putting more water on the street because they took all the grass area out of there.
Right, yeah,
Salted all the
yeah, they put more water down,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
You know, when I look at guys, that's all in the past. Mike's got a township in debt, I got a township in debt. If we're gonna put money, I think I'd sooner put it on our own use than this one for this year project. That's how I feel.
Isn't the city saying that it was the county's engineer? Is that what,
Well, we pulled engineering that time.
and that's why they feel that we should be paying for some of this?
But that's in the past.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but I know there was some discussions had during design about that. I unfortunately don't recollect, I've actually visited with Matt about it before, and I don't recall what that is, but I know there was discussions in design of how that could be addressed, but wasn't going to be fully addressed, if I recall properly. So, you know, I can't speak to that, but I think we can have that discussion and get some information to you, if you'd like.
Do you think maybe at the time, when it was done, that I kind of remember something about it, that if they would have had to do exactly what you guys did, they would have added more cost to the residents of that area, and I don't think the city wanted to go with that.
No, the problem is they replaced all the curb and gutter in the street. But why they lowered the intersection about 10 inches, I have no idea.
But you know, if this would have been done 8 years ago, it would have probably been less costly, right?
It was done.
No, well, I mean, to this
No, they did do
scope,
it.
to this scope of work.
Yeah, but
Well, why did she come that night and say she brought this up 8 years ago?
no, but they did, we're trying to remedy it. At the time, they raised her curb about this high. So far up to her driveway. And then they took out the pavement from the intersection to her driveway. Well, they didn't go far enough north. They went farther north like we did, it would have been this all.
Well, they took out all the pavement or?
They only went back like 80 or 100 feet.
This was done
To the
when?
north. Well, back when they did the road project. It was a problem at that time,
Mm.
but they didn't go far enough north to fix the problem.
So this bill,
Who's they?
I suppose the engineer, the DOT or whoever it was that
this is just, this bill is just for the cost of
asphalt.
blacktop. It's none of your guys.
No, we tore it all up, did all the work. This is just for the repaving.
Oh, I don't know, I think we can start paying bills for the city, I don't know, that's what kind of hardly worth there. The county bills, you know?
Especially, Mike, when we got a couple townships that are
Right, yeah.
struggling, we got to help.
I mean, we know, we got this project out here, Mike's area, that where the, been underwater, and the buses got to go back and forth across the railroad track about 4 times, so that's gotta be fixed too, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, that's gonna cost money too, you know? I don't know, I just,
That'll cost this much too.
yeah.
It's just had they not done First Street, they would have.
Well, if we wouldn't have went down and give you our money, it probably still would be the old way.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be done at all.
Yeah.
You know that for yourself.
I think the county
We still want to
contributed to that.
Absolutely.
You know, that whole.
And I think it was good that we.
Yeah, I
did
think it was, yeah.
It was good for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
But I don't know that now we're gonna do anything, here comes Neil.
it really didn't cost the county any money, it was 80-20 grant, it cost the city taxpayers the 20%. So it was nothing out of the county's money.
Well, it wasn't, but we had other roads to fix that we put on the back burner.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Well,
So-
we're gonna table it.
Get Jessica. Get Jessica up, she's probably in a hurry.
Yeah,
No, I have all day here, actually.
yeah, you'll be here till
Oh,
one.
yeah, one.
So Jessica, you can come up, well,